Okay, we're going to start. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar, Essential Tips for Doing Business in India. This webinar is brought to you by Connect Americas with the support of Caravan Advisory Enterprises and Aditya Birla Group. Let me briefly greet our Connect Americas members and everyone who is joining us for the first time in this webinar series. Connect Americas is the largest business network in the Americas created by the Inter-American Development Bank with the support of companies such as Google, Visa, DHL, and Alibaba. And Connect Americas' main objective is helping small and medium-sized companies to grow and to do more and better business abroad. So as part of our Connect Americas trainings, we are offering these free online seminars led by world-class experts. These and many other online courses are going to be available at the Connect Americas Academy at no cost for the members of our platform. So we really encourage you to explore the Academy and explore as well connectamericas.com. So going back to today's topic, well, we all know that we are experiencing a new era of the India-Latin American relations, which is bringing tremendous opportunities for our Latin American companies. Trade between India and Latin America and the Caribbean has really propelled in the last decade, growing 4 times faster than Latin American trade with the rest of the world. So this great potential for trade between Latin America and India is based on the complementarity of their economies. We can say that India is abundant in labor and less so in natural resources, and the opposite can be said about Latin America, of course, except for the larger countries in the region, right? So although there is this great potential in trade, trade is still limited between these two regions. Actually, according to IDB studies, only 1.5% of India's exports go to Latin America, and only 1.5% of Latin American exports go to India. So we can think this as both, a problem or an opportunity. And we definitely like to think of this scenario as a big opportunity for Latin American companies. India has the potential to become a fast-growing market for Latin American products and services. So to dig deeper into this topic, we have invited Mr. Anurag Srivastava, I'm sorry for my pronunciation. He is the country president of the Aditya Birla Group in Brazil, and Mr. Anish Narang, he is the managing director and CEO at Caravan Advisory Enterprises. So during this webinar, they will discuss the main commercial opportunities in India for Latin American companies. They also will share the main guidelines to access the Indian market. And finally, they will discuss some aspects of the business culture in India as well. So please now, I would like to give you more information about our speakers. Mr. Anish Narang, as I just mentioned, the Managing Director and CEO of the Caravan Advisory Enterprises. He is, the firm Caravan Advisories is an international business advisory firm that is based out on New Delhi and has many associates partners in US, Brazil, and Argentina. Mr. Nishan provides business advisory services for companies interested in doing business in emerging markets, such as India, Brazil, and Argentina. And his expertise includes business and entry strategy, business planning, business development and marketing, investment research and funding, international relations, among other subjects. And he has worked on projects on different sectors from IT to food and agriculture. Well, he did his corporate MBA, like a triple degree program from Georgetown University, ESADE in Spain, and FGV in Brazil. We also have Mr. Anurag Srivastava. He is the country president of Aditya Birla Group in Brazil. Aditya Birla Group is a 42 billion billion multinational company with operations in 36 countries. This group has diverse interests from metals to textiles, and even now they have a huge interest in the services sector as well. He's a mechanical engineering graduate from the Indian Institute of Technology. He specialized in finance and operations on the Indian Institute of Management. He has worked at Unilever, PepsiCo in different roles before joining the retail business of Aditya Birla Group in 2005. He's really passionate about business excellence and sustainability in organizations. And he took over the role of country president in August 2015, and as I told you, is based out of Sao Paulo in Brazil. So we thank you, Mr. Anurag and Mr. Anish, for your kind disposition to share your expertise and your lessons learned with our Connect Americas members. I just want to let attendees know that at the end of the presentation, we will have some time to answer some of your questions. So we really encourage you to send out those questions through the Q&A panel that is located in the lower right portion of your screen. I will take your questions, and our experts will answer some of them by the end of the webinar. So please, we really encourage you to do so. Well, welcome again to everybody, and I will turn the floor over to Mr. Anish to start with the presentation.
Thank you so much, Alejandra. Buenos días y buenas tardes a todos. Yo hablo español muy poquito, so I'm gonna have this presentation in English. So we're gonna talk about India to start with, and I'm going to take about 20-25 minutes to go over the different slides and talking about different topics. So first and foremost, talking about India here, as we know, India is a 5,000-year-old civilization with a population of over 1.2 billion, and it's the seventh largest country in the world. We have 438 languages with, officially we have 22 languages and 29 states and 7 union territories. Very, very diverse, right? And it is probably the only country in the world where Stone Age and Space Age coexist even today. Moving along, this is the map of India. So, just to give you an idea that there are 29 states and 5 major cities which are highlighted here. Nova Delhi, which is the political hub, the capital of India. Mumbai, if you see on your left, the western side is the financial and the media hub. If you go down south, Bangalore, which is considered the IT hub. Chennai, which is considered the manufacturing and the automotive hub. And above on the east, you have Kolkata, which is considered as a cultural hub. Moving along. So today I'm going to talk about the India LATAM business, the global macro environment. Have done a quick risk analysis on India for everyone, the opportunities for Latin American firms in India, what are the entry barriers, and how do we identify business partners in India. So the India LATAM business, right, as we can see, it has grown tremendously in the past 15 years, right? And a growth of 16 times from 2 billion to 32 billion. And if we continue the same momentum, we could easily grow to 100 billion. in the next few years. So I think that is one of the biggest drivers for us to engage between India and Latin American firms, because the potential is huge. And as Alejandra had mentioned earlier, that given India's big population, right, and given Latin America's resources, there is complementarian approach for both the continents, right? On one side, India wants to secure the energy needs, the oil, the minerals, and the food and the agriculture, and what they can offer is, the engineering services, the IT services, pharmaceuticals, and chemicals, right, which is exported from India to the Latin American countries. Moving ahead, as you can see in the slide, the numbers, currently India is the sixth important export destination for Latin America and doing a business of close to $20 billion, right? Which in fact is more than Japan, Germany, Italy, UK, and France, right? Independently, of course. Latin American companies are still exporting bulk to the United States of America, about 45%. India is a mere 2%. However, this should give an opportunity for a lot of the small and medium businesses in Latin America to diversify to India as well. Petroleum, copper, gold, and vegetable oil are among the top global exports to India. Moving ahead, if you look at the global macro environment, right, and the PPP format, the power purchasing parity, China right now is number one at 19 trillion, the US is 18, and India is at 8 trillion, right? The nominal GDP is at 2.25. However, if you look at the PPP, it's quite big. It's about 8 trillion USD. Now, if we look at the, this is a report by IMF World Economic Outlook, right? If you look at 2016 and the projections for 2017 and 2018, for the world, it's about 3.1, 3.4%. If you look at US, it is 1.6, 2.3, and 2.5. If you look at China, it is 6.7, 6.5, and India. And just to add here, that India's financial year ends on 31st March of every year. And as per the latest figures, for 2016-17, India grew by 7.1%, and prior to that grew at 7.6%. And as we speak, India currently is the fastest growing global major economy in the world. Okay, so let's talk about the risk analysis. So what we have done here is we look at the politics, the economy, the social aspect, the technological, the legal, and the environmental, right? And just give you a brief on what are the risks associated, low, medium, or high, and it will just give you an insight into doing business with India. So if you look at the political risk analysis, currently is low. And why I say that is in 2014, BJP, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Prime Minister Modi came to power with a clear majority after a couple of decades. Earlier, you had alliances between few parties. So in India, it's a multi-party system, right? And BJP is right-wing, pro-business, and only last month they won 3 out of the 5 state elections, and including Uttar Pradesh, which is the biggest state in India with a population of 200 million, as big as Brazil, right? So what that means is the government presently has a majority in the lower and the upper house. So in India, given the diverse culture, right, consensus is a problem. However, given the current scenario, the government, has the consensus, has the decision-making power in the parliament, which means quicker, the bills are going to be passed quickly, the decision-making is going to be faster. So that gives a lot of leverage to the government and to the economy as well. Going forward, if you look at the economic risk analysis, it's low currently, given the global scenario. If you look at the chart, deficit as percentage of GDP, you would see the fiscal deficit, the revenue deficit, and the primary deficit all coming down in the last few years, right? Which talks about how the economy has done in the given past few years. Now, one of the aspects that I wanted to mention was a demonetization move by the government of India, which happened in November of 2016, where they banned rupees 500 and 1,000 notes to curb corruption and black money, right? That was one of the reasons why India grew at 7.1% and not higher, because that had a short-term impact on the demand and on the liquidity shortage and liquidity, basically. Otherwise, we would have seen the economy grow at a higher rate than 7.1%. Moving forward, if you look at on the left, the chart, the foreign investments, if you look at the FDI, you see an increase from FY13 from 34 to FY16, 55 USD billion dollars, and FY17 is 48. This particular bar needs to be updated, of course. And if we look on the right-hand side of the chart, the forex reserves have risen in the last few years, and currently India has about 360 billion of foreign forex. Another aspect which is very, very vital for the economy is the historic goods and services tax regime, which was passed in the parliament, and it's actually coming into effect from July 1st. Now, what that means is that there will be one unified tax, the sales tax, the value-added tax across the country for different products, of course. Earlier, there were different taxes for different states, but there now, if you want to sell a mobile phone, then there will be one tax across the country. If you want to sell any agri or a food product, there'll be one tax across the country, right? Which is a big thing, and this particular regime should start in next few months, and this will help the economy grow faster, reduce the inefficiencies in the economy, and the goods and services will move much faster than what they used to earlier. Okay, so let's talk about the social risk analysis. Here, the risk is medium, and one of the reasons for that is the disparity and the inequality between the rich and the poor, right? Currently, India's Gini's coefficient, as per the latest figures we have, rose to 51 in 2013 from 45. India was able to lift 133 million of its citizens out of poverty from 2001 to 2011. However, still a lot needs to be done. There is a rising middle class, which is the bigger consumers in the country. However, India still needs to work on the social risks associated. Going forward, the technological risk analysis, the rollout of 4G, LTE technology was done, which means faster broadband, faster internet connection. The number of internet users have increased to 430 million in December 2016, and it is expected to double 730 million by 2020. And also, just to add that the ISRO, right, the Indian Space Research Organization, the premier space research agency of India, had set a record of launching 104 satellites at one go, right? They had reached Mars orbit after traveling 650 million kilometers, which, by the way, at a cost of 10 cents per kilometer, and that cost is cheaper than driving an Uber, basically. Okay, moving ahead, the legal risk analysis. The government of India has worked a lot. Still, a lot needs to be done. It's low to medium, the risk. In India now, it takes 1 day to register a company. Of course, to form a company, a private limited firm, it takes longer, but it takes at least 1 day to register now, which is an achievement given the bureaucracy in India right now. The intellectual property law has developed and evolved over a period of time, and currently is in tune with the world scenario. India is now a signatory to various IP treaties and conventions, and also complies with TRIPS. Okay, the environmental risk analysis is medium, but at the same time, there is air pollution, poor management of waste, water pollution. There are environmental issues which India faces. The opportunity which is provided to the entrepreneurs is to, offer some of these solutions, and that gives plenty of options for companies who can offer solutions for water waste management, or for water scarcity, for irrigation, because in India the farmers are still dependent on the annual rain. So given there are risks associated with the environment, the flip side, these problems can be converted into business opportunities. Moving ahead, what are the opportunities for the Latin American firms in India, right? And one of the biggest opportunities here is focused on food and agri, especially for the small and medium-sized companies. And they could offer and they could supply with vegetables, fruits, agri products to India during the off-season, because India is in the northern hemisphere and South America is in the southern hemisphere, so that complementary is there. And at the same time is wines of Chile and Argentina. Tequila is getting popular. Quinoa, stevia, Mexican food is getting popular. The opportunities in the food and agri sector is big. So I'll just take a quick pause. I hope all of you can hear me, because I see those messages. So I just wanted to confirm with everyone that you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you very well, Mr. Anish.
Okay. All right. Great. Moving forward, food processing. That's another big sector. What we believe for the Latin American firms in India. from food preservation, beverages, dairy, meat, fish, food processing equipment, supply chain infrastructure. Lot needs to be done in India. And the Indian food market currently is close to $200 billion, so the opportunity is big. These are some of the sectors where the Latin American firms can add value and look at exportation, look at investments as an opportunity into India. Okay, so what are the growth drivers now when we discuss about food, agri, and food processing? So these few slides are focused on food, agri, and food processing. The reason being what we believe is this sector in India is growing at a fast pace, and Latin American firms can add bigger value to these sectors, right? If you look at on the left, liberalization and the growth of organized retail. So India is moving from unorganized retail to organized retail, which includes e-commerce, right? Population, there's a big demand in India, right? 65% of the population is under the age of 35, right? Median age is 27. And this is going to increase the overall food consumption. If we look below the chart, right, the rising income levels, the affluent middle class, 1/3 of the population will be living in urban areas by 2020. Increased desire for branded food. Consumption in India is driven towards packaged and ready-to-eat foods. So all these growth drivers are going to help firms who are looking to get into these sectors. Okay, moving ahead, the opportunities for Latin American firms in other sectors: e-commerce, fintech, healthcare, information and communication technology, IoT, retail, clean energy, the wellness sector, entertainment and sports could be a big sector. Of course, if you ask an average person in India about Latin America, the first thing that comes to their mind is football, right? Or samba or salsa, or so entertainment and sports could be a big sector that could be looked into, right? And another area where the Indian government is very, very positive about is building the smart cities. Given the large population and concentration in the big cities that we spoke in the beginning, in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, the government of India is trying to create 100 new cities, which means there will be a requirement for smart environment, urban planning, smart grid, clean energy, so these are some of the areas. The sectors where there is already been exportation done from Latin America to India includes the electronic equipments, iron and steel, machinery and boilers, and organic chemicals. So these are the data for 2015-2016 where Latin American firms have exported to India. Moving ahead, there is 100% FDI allowed in 92% of sectors in India. So India is opening up. India has opened up. The economy is growing, right? And from railways to mining to pharma, there is an opportunity to invest, to have 100% FDI, basically. And for investor success, the growth of asset value, preservation of value while asset is owned, and ease of repatriating profits is there. It could be easily achieved in India, which means more profit line for the companies who are investing in India. Okay, so what are the market entry barriers now, right? We spoke about the opportunities, we spoke about the Pestle analysis, looked at political economy, social technology, legal environment. But what are the entry barriers for LATAM firms who are looking to export their products in India, basically? High tariffs, yes, that is there. In developing economies, especially, you would have higher tariffs as compared to the non-tariff barriers, NTBs in developed economies like the United States. Red tapeism and bureaucracy is there. However, the government of India is trying its level best to reduce that. That is Prime Minister Modi's major goal, is to reduce bureaucracy in India, and he's been able to do that in the last 3 years. Local content requirement is there for some sectors, but slowly it's being removed. Food product approval, the Food Safety and Security Association of India looks into it, and they are trying to reduce the time to get the approvals for food products to be launched in India. And lastly, the power of states. It's a federal system, center and state, with the GST, the Unified Tax Code. This will help in reducing time and selling your products across India. And one of the ways you can also reduce the high tariffs is looking at value-added products where your margins are higher and you can absorb these tariffs, or look at areas where tariffs are low and you can enter India for those products. Moving ahead, the identifying business partners in India. India, as we spoke earlier, there are many Indias within India. India has 29 states, different language, different culture, different food habits, right? However, we need to understand that is something which is important when we are dealing with a country like India. It is important to build relationships, which requires time, right? Patience is of essence when you're building business in India. Negotiations and decisions are generally made at the highest of levels. English is the official language of business here, and physical meetings and human touch are vital in closing the deals. So these are some important aspects which you should remember while dealing with the Indian firms and engaging with the Indian entrepreneurs. Moving ahead, the conclusion, right? So the trade is growing at a very fast pace, right? Complementary, both the continents, India and Latin America, given the energy security and the food security India needs, and given the skill sets and the pharmaceuticals which India could offer, there is huge opportunities. And we can see the growth 16 times in the past 15 years, which is one of the highest, I believe. According to the World Bank, India will be the fastest growing major economy in the globe, overtaking China. Opportunities for firms in food and agri, food processing and technology, e-commerce, fintech, healthcare, there are plenty of opportunities in different sectors, depending on what is your value proposition, what is the product. It could be looked into. Lastly, India is looking to increase its trade with Latin America. India is trying to finalize the FTA with Peru, free trade agreement, renegotiate the preferential trade agreements with Mercosur and Chile, also exploring possibilities of free trade agreement with Mexico. So overall, I believe there is a positive story. Obviously, we have to look into how and what is the kind of approach and what kind of products and industries you want to get into. So a quick overview of what we are doing, Caravan Advisory Enterprises. We specialize in internationalization, and we focus on India and Americas. I've been working with US earlier, but last few years focusing on Latin American countries such as Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Peru, and other LATAM countries as well. We are business executionists and implementers, ensuring business success for our clients. Some services that we offer is entry strategy, feasibility analysis, JVs, M&As, help you set up local operations, furthering government cooperation, funding and technology transfer. And these are, some of the pictures from this year in Lima with the business delegation. On the bottom, you have in Guadalajara, there was a India Latin conference which was held. Here I am with the Indian ambassador in Brasilia, down below with my partners in Sao Paulo. Then I was with, we were with the governor of Misiones in Argentina, talking about the Indian-Argentina relationships. And these are some of the leading clients. Argentine Yerba Mate, worked with the commercial arm of Peru, in New Delhi, Kirloskar. It's a mid-cap engineering company who we are helping to enter the Brazilian market. So typically, we've been helping Indian companies enter the Latin market and helping some of the Latin American firms enter the Indian market. So we look into both the aspects. These are my coordinates. If you have any questions, feel free, please contact with me. Lastly, I would just say one thing. I've had a great experience working with Latin American firms, and my experience has been very good between both India and Latin America. Feel like home, and I travel quite often to that part of the world. Very warm people, and what I believe is that it's good to do business with people who you like, and I had an excellent experience working with people from South America and Latin America. Thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon, friends. Yes, thank you, Alexandra, very much. It's a great opportunity to speak. I see more than 100 participants, close to 100 participants. It's a great feeling. Currently, I am in India right now. I'm based out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. So I apologize for the connection if it is not clear. I will try to make it the best possible. So welcome you all for a fantastic initiative taken by Connect Americas. I'm glad that we are connected. I'm sorry that I don't speak Portuguese or Spanish. I'm trying to learn both languages. Probably next time when we interact, I will have a little bit of understanding and knowledge. So I will try to speak in English, and I'll speak a little slow so that you can see. To start with, a big thank you to Anish. I think it's a wonderful presentation he has made in giving a very structured and a framework of what India is about, what are the opportunities, which sectors, a pestle analysis, what risk you will find, and as you will see from our presentations and whenever you have interacted with Indians before, we are very open and transparent set of people. So you will see that we talk in a very balanced way in what are the opportunities, what are the risks, what could be our weaknesses, what could be our strengths, and I'm sure that you will find both Anish's presentation and my presentation useful for your future. So what I'm going to do is a little different from Anish. I'm going to present a case study through my group, which will highlight some of the things which Anish spoke to about, and I will share my experiences of an Indian company who is operating from Latin America for many years. I happen to be in Brazil for last 2 years. I have traveled extensively to Mexico, Peru, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, and of course Brazil. So this is something very interesting which I'm seeing and which becomes part of my presentation therefore. To start with, I would rather start with my group. I'm the country president for Aditya Birla Group, and my job is to look for new opportunities for our group in Latin America, both in terms of sourcing as well as marketing of our products and also collaborations. To move on, if you can see the slides, let's see. Yeah, sorry. Uh, we are a very large Indian multinational, among the few multinationals from India with over 50 years of history. We are a 41 or $42 billion company. We operate in 36 countries. We have 130 factories worldwide. And very interestingly, about more than 50% of our revenues actually come from India international operations. We have 170,000 employees, and we are proud of the fact that our employees are from 42 different nationalities. Just to case in point, we have 22,600 employees in Brazil, and most of them are local Brazilians. To see the map, we are actually present in across the world, and if you can see, Latin America is a little bit of a white space, not many things for us, and that's my job to build, a bigger footprint in Latin America. So what we are the largest aluminum rolling company in the world. This is all global. If you know, our company name is Novelis. It's part of Hindalco Group. We are among the largest producers of aluminum in the world. We have the largest factory in the world of copper smelting. This is in India. We are the largest producer of viscose staple fiber in textiles. We are the largest producer in the world of carbon black. We are the fifth largest producer of acrylic fiber in the world. And we are now among the top five cement producers in the world. In India, we are the top fashion and lifestyle player. We are the largest producer of chemical products, especially chlor-alkali. We are the largest manufacturer and exporter of viscose filament yarn. And then we have our financial and services business in retail, in telecommunications, and also in asset management. So this is what we are. In Brazil, in Latin America, we are the largest Indian investor in Latin America with investment and revenue more than $2 billion. As I said, 2,600 employees and 5 factories. But currently, as you can see, all of them are in Brazil, but we are looking to expand across Latin America. Now, coming to the topic today, basically, what are the commercial opportunities in India for the Latin American companies? As Anish has already mentioned, India today is poised to be, it's growing pretty fast at 7.5% is the highest. We are a size of our economy is the same size as Brazil. But with the growth that is taking place, we estimate that it will be the third largest economy after China and US. But more importantly for us and for this discussion today, it will be soon be the largest middle class in the world. It will have the largest middle class segment in the world. So what does that mean? It means the sectors which actually addresses this middle class aspirations and consumption will benefit the most. And what could those sectors be? Wherever the middle class is going to spend money, for example, in food. So food processing would be a very interesting sector, as Anish mentioned. Commodities, huge consumption, 1.2 billion people. Then you need to clothe them. So textile and retailing. Then, of course, Latin America is known for its beauty. Cosmetics, they're world class. So huge amount of opportunity in my view for the people who are in cosmetics, lifestyle products, FMCG. India, as Anish mentioned, is also growing. It's an emerging market. It's an emerging country like Brazil or Argentina, Mexico. So we also have a huge infrastructure requirement. That will be big. Consumer durables. Travel and tourism, for example, more money Indians will have now. They would love to travel. So if it is a travel company who wants to open a office in India, I'm sure it will do well. And services. So what are the sources of value creation? So when I look at when I look at India versus Latin America, I see India as a resource deficit country, whereas Latin America is a resource surplus country. So any companies who are resource based, for example, agri exports, or fuel oil, or forestry, or minerals, basic products, basic commodities, they will actually do well in India as of now. Or if you are into technology, I don't mean IT, I mean technology in, let's say, food processing. So if you have a very good food processing business in Latin America, the place to go to would be India. Because India, while we are self-sufficient, huge amount of our food products actually get wasted because we don't have food processing technology. And retailing, India is we still are traditional in terms of retailing. So modern retail is a very small part of our economy. And when I see Latin America is far advanced in retailing, and I think there will be opportunity for retail companies in Latin America to make a mark in India. One interesting thought I have is when I go around Latin America, I see a lot of Latin American companies have sourced technology and know-how and machinery from European countries and let's say German or Japanese or even US companies. Now, you will have a play in India because you can provide the same know-how and technology and transfer at a much cheaper cost that Europeans or Americans companies would do. Of course, you have to compete with them in Indian markets because all of those companies, the multinationals, they are very active in India and for quite some time. The other aspect is, as Manish has mentioned, and I would again touch upon it a little later, India is a very similar to the Latin America in terms of culture. It's also an emerging market. It has therefore the same needs as any other emerging market of basic food, basic hygiene, sanitation, infrastructure development, housing, clothing, and so on. So if you are active in those sectors, you will find an opportunity for new markets in India. Moving on, so how do we go? So what do we do from now on? My first suggestion would be you need to understand the market there, very standard. As Anish mentioned, India is very diverse, very complex, and a huge size. It has its own market imperfections in terms of bureaucracy, in terms of time, licenses, ease of doing business, corruption, but you need to understand all of that when you enter. These are the risks that Anish spoke about. And more importantly, you need to decide for yourself what are your growth imperatives. So what are the choices are you going to make? Do you want to go premium to India? There is a separate market for that. Do you want to go value-driven products, very thin margins, high volume, low margin products? Or you want to get into branded products, you want to get into regional products, you want to get into global products. Now, these are the things you need to mix and match with the market. As Anish mentioned, India is a huge and diverse market, so there's a play for everyone, all kinds of price points and segments. So what's the strategy? In my view, and this is something which I advise even my own company to do that, is, start somewhere. Start to do a little bit of a trading. Start to sell something to India. Start to buy something from India. What will happen is you will know a little bit more. Once you a little bit more, you can get into value-added products. Once you get into value-added products, maybe you will get to a stage of localization, customization to the Indian needs. Maybe then you might like to get into a joint venture and do manufacturing or provide service. So in my view, that's the linear process. Start trading, continue with trading, but over a period, keep adding value to your business. One caution, of course, is when you talk to many people, when you when you look at websites or Google information, there are multiple agencies. Now, as I said, it's a double-edged sword because it may help you once you make up your mind. There are multiple agencies who can help and support you. But then many a times you might get into overlapping agencies, or you might lead to a little bit of a confusion. So I think getting to support infrastructure would be very essential. There are a lot of private players around that. Caravan, Anish is one of them. But you can also take help from chambers of commerce in your respective countries. Some are active, some are getting active as I speak. I am very much involved with this chamber of commerce. Also, I have seen our Indian embassies and consulates in various capitals and cities in Latin America are very active. They have a mandate from none other than the President of India to encourage trade, to encourage business. So if you go to the Indian embassies or to chambers of commerce, you will get a lot of information, you will get a lot of support from there. And I think Anish mentioned, and I would confirm and reiterate the fact that it will be nice to work with local partners. Now, as Indian companies, we do the same. When we come to Latin America or any part of the world, we look for greenfield. We look for actually brownfields. We look for partners. We really don't like to start with greenfields. So I would strongly recommend that look for local partners for India. And as again Anish mentioned, there are trade barriers, both trade and non-trade barriers. So that's a part of any risk and reward matrix. So that's on strategy. We are mentioning again and again. I find the same thing. When I came to Brazil, I didn't find it very different from India in terms of process. Culturally, we are very similar. When I traveled to Mexico, that's the thought it came to me. While our languages are different, we are far away in terms of time zones, but the way we do business, the way we interact with people, the stress we have on our family, our relationships are very similar. So in this is an HBG Harvard study. Indians, like Brazilians and Mexicans and other Latin Americans, are very emotionally expressive. We love to talk, we love to chat, we show our emotions. We are very passionate set of people. Whatever we do with the full gusto. And at the same time, we don't want to get into conflicts. We don't want to fight. We want to do business pleasantly, happily, and so on. So I keep telling this to my people back home in India that look, we are the best suited. Indians are the best suited to collaborate with the Latin American companies. While we have our differences, but we are also very value based. Indians are not exploitative, but collaborative. So you'll see how we share, we share knowledge, help each other. It's a win-win situation for all of us, and we are open and transparent, as I said, patient and perseverant. So therefore, what are the key success factors? It's of course selection of right partners who can resonate with your values and vision. Understand market. One thing I've learned is that as Indians, we don't understand Latin America too much. Similarly, Latin America, Americans, people, you all don't understand India. I think the best way is to travel more. Come to India, smell, feel what is working, how to do business, and you'll get it. But at the same time, we leverage technology. In India, people are very tech savvy. So you can get into webinars, you can get into Facebooks, because the internet expressways are pretty good. You can actually transact a lot of business in future over technology. So this is my experience, Sumit. I'll close with to say opportunities in Latin America and India collaboration may not be missed. Indian companies can match with the world standards in processes, quality, scale, competency, skills, and I firmly believe they are natural allies for Latin American companies to grow together. Thank you very much, and I now open the session for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Anurag, for your excellent presentation, and I know, it was very clear, and I know it's going to be very useful for our attendees. I'm going to start with some questions that we have been collecting from our audience, and the first one, I think that maybe Mr. Anurag, you already touched this topic, but I got this question. They want to know how sophisticated are Indian consumers right now? Are they most interested in luxury type of products, even within the food sector? Are they more interested right now in this type of organic, like kosher type of products, or even basic type of food products have still an opportunity in the Indian market? Like, they want to know, like, how sophisticated is being that demand right now in India.
I will answer this question, and then I will ask Anish to join in for answering. We are not very sophisticated yet. So while there is a diversity, there are consuming class. We buy lots of American brands, the luxurious cars, hotels, food, but that's a very small percentage of our country. For example, products like and avocados, and they are still not very well known in India. Somebody the other day was asking whether he or she will succeed in selling high performance drinks in India for sports. My answer was clear: no. I think currently we don't have that opportunity. It is getting developed. Quinoa is a wonderful example that currently we have very little demand, but as you need to spend a lot of money in terms of advertising your products if you are in that space. Anish, would you like to comment on it?
Yes. I agree, Anurag, with you on that. What I have to say is that, India is a 1.2 billion population, right? So let's if we break it up, right? The middle class is considered, depending on different parameters by different agencies, is about 20–25%. Okay. Now, if we just look at the top 10%, right, which is, or top 15%, right, which is about close to 150–180 million people. That is a big market, as big as Brazil, bigger than Mexico, the bigger two markets in Latin America, right? And these are the consumers who are open to trying out newer things, branded things, more sophisticated as compared to rest of the Indian consumers, right? They are the ones who have traveled abroad, educated in different countries, and they bring back a lot of experiences, right? And the aspiring class wants things which is sold in the US or Europe or Latin America. The millennials, right, they want things, they are demanding for newer things. Of course, as Anurag said, it is not as evolved or developed as when you compare it with the US or EU, European Union. However, we're catching up, A lot of Indians, a lot of these new products are being launched. AGE, Peru has launched in India their consumer beverages recently. We are trying to help yerba mate, the Argentine drink, to be launched in India as a premium product. We are trying to blend it with the Indian herbs and the Indian spices with the Argentine yerba mate, and trying to promote it within the premium sector of India, which is the top 10–15%. So given the numbers, right, India has, the population, those numbers are attractive, and the per capita income is much higher as compared to rest of India, and competitive in comparison to the developed economies. I hope that answers, Anurag, if you want to add, or Alejandro.
No, I'm fine. I think it's fair.
Right.
Yeah, thank you so much to you both. A second question is more related to the business culture in India, and most of our attendees are interested in knowing about what do you think, or what is your point of view or advice regarding conducting negotiations or looking actively for local partners online, versus this face-to-face interaction.
Okay. Anurag, I would just take a stab at it, and then you could please go ahead and add to the current question.
Sure.
Alejandra, to answer that question, of course, if you look at the new entrepreneurs, the tech savvy, and the millennials, they are, a lot of the discussions and negotiations are happening online, over the phone, over Skype, over WhatsApp. These days, products and have been sent on WhatsApp or social media. That's huge in India, no doubt about it. It's becoming bigger every day, right? And obviously, when you are doing cross-border between India and Latin America, that helps, right? In negotiating and engaging with the new partners and companies. And with the internet penetration, close to what we discussed, 450 million people who have internet connections in India now, right? So that obviously helps. But at the same time, the general feeling in India, of course, is when you're trying to close on a deal, because India, developing economy, there is a trust deficit. It's important to have a face-to-face or physical meeting to close on a deal, which is, in my opinion, very similar to Latin America, because whenever I have worked with companies there, they prefer to have a face-to-face meeting when you're trying to close a deal or trying to engage much further. And that is one of the reasons I'm traveling once in a quarter to that part of the world. Yes, online internet is on the rise, but still feel that physical meetings, human touch is important for India for closing deals. Anurag?
Yeah, I would first like to give comfort to the people who are attending this webinar. I think, as I mentioned in my presentation, we are very transparent and open, so there is nothing to worry. Having being last 2 years in your country, I see so much similarity in the way we conduct business. For us, relationships are important first, then the transaction, which is very unlike when we deal with companies, countries like China or Germany or Europe or US. So one first thought is that no need to worry. I think it's an exciting time. So you should look at very, very positively working with Indian companies. Secondly, I believe that as I said, being tech savvy, a lot of transactions you can do, but I think it's important for you guys and for your Indian counterparts to know each other, welcome each other, and that can be done very well if you can, physically be present. So I would suggest there are many activities now being conducted by exhibitions and activities, events like this being conducted by our associations, our embassies in your countries. A lot of delegations come from India these days because we are also hungry for business. So find opportunities to meet and interact. Don't worry too much about the language issue. Our natural language is also not English, but all our business in India is conducted in English. So even if your English and if your team, English is not very good, you're only Spanish or Portuguese, don't worry about that. Just go and meet. You'll find opportunities. And of course, India is a great place to mix work with pleasure. So I would actually encourage you all to, visit first time. You visit, see, meet some people, meet some entrepreneur, meet some potential partners and so on. And the next time you don't need to go because the next steps can all be done through internet. And again, like Anish is saying, a lot of, Anish will travel here more often, or there are more people who are coming from India. All that information is available on our websites. Connect Americas can play a big role there. If you go on Google and search, a lot of trade delegations come. So as much as possible, meet and interact. Business will certainly happen. And it will happen pretty fast in my view. So both is important. You have to first get aligned physically, see each other, meet each other, and then of course transact on the internet and use technology. That's my take.
Thank you. Great advice. I have two more questions. Some of our attendees are asking about that relationship, products quality and products price. What do you think is more important right now in India? I mean, products quality or products price? We have found that that relationship is very different in Asian countries such as Japan, China, Korea right now. What's your opinion about that?
I think it's a great question. And, when I look at Latin American countries, I see in Latin American the quality and the brand and the premiumness actually takes precedence over price. Whereas India is very, very price conscious. As a culture, as a philosophy, Indians are very price conscious. So it's a price market. Having said that, like what Anish said, you need to segment your markets. There are premium products. The most expensive Jaguars and Land Rovers and Lamborghinis are sold in India, and the premium class also exists. When you segment the market, there is a sufficiently big class available for premium products. So premium, let's say leather jackets from Latin America, or food products, premium quality, will command, and you will get those customers in India. On the other side, we compete. You'll have to compete aggressively with China or Vietnam, or for some of the other producing companies, manufacturing companies, for low-cost products. And therefore, I would suggest that you look for value-driven markets, where as Latin American countries, you have something special which you can create a value for Indian consumers. For example, like Anish mentioned about the food processing, the Argentinian wines, the grapes, the exotic fruits, which China will not be able to provide, for example. So I would say, just to summarize, I would say it's mostly value-driven market, but then there are segments and pockets available for premium products. Anish, you want to say something?
No, I think I agree completely, Anurag, with you. India is a price sensitive more than Latin America, for sure, and it's a value-driven market right now. So segmentation is important. Your target audience is important. The kind of product that you're offering is important. You have the Land Rovers and the Jaguars and the Audis being sold in India, right? You have German, US companies who are doing great businesses in India. So, of course, there is a demand. However, we need segmentization. But overall, in a general viewpoint, yes, India is price sensitive, but it's moving towards value products, evolving. Thank you.
Okay, great. And just to conclude, what are some reliable sources of information about trade regulations or trade statistics that you can share with our audience now that they are really interested in digging deeper about the Indian market? If you have any on top of your mind.
Anish, you want me to answer this?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, see, in my experience, your Indian embassies in your country is a very authentic, reliable, and open source of information. So if you type Indian embassy in your country, you will get links to lot of information. The second source is go to Indian websites on External Affairs Ministry. On Google, you will find a lot of information. So Trade and Commerce Ministry, and because Anish is in Delhi, he will be able to guide you much more on that. And of course, as I said, a lot of this trade and exhibition and delegations which keep coming, you will get it. So a lot of data you will get it, a lot of information you will get it. And to complement that, if you travel once, you will get a ground feel, reality of what's happening. So it has to be a mix of very theoretical information which is available, plus your own sense of how things are. Anish?
Yes, I agree, Anurag. Nowadays, what you would find is the Indian embassies across the globe, and at the same time, the government agencies are publishing data information online, right? And one of the things which is happening also is that in India, there's competition between different states to attract investments and growth. So there is a lot of information available by the external affairs. If you want to get into food processing, you'll have that information. Then there's a website called Make in India website where you have all the numbers, statistics. So if you do a normal Google search also, you will find a lot of information which has been published in the last few years, the data points, and giving you greater details what it was earlier. So on the internet, yes, there is information available for your user. Thank you.
If I may, I was about to thank you both for your presentation. I know that we're already running out of time, but actually I have a very interesting question that if you give me permission to ask this question, I mean, it's going to be the last question, I promise. And it's about women doing business in India. Now, in Latin America, there is this tendency of having more women entrepreneurs and women business owners, and I know that many of them are really interested in the Indian market, and many of them have joined us in this webinar as well, and they are really interested in knowing about if in India, women are really accepted like in the same way, as men, as an executive manager, if they can really conduct business negotiation in India without having any problems.
Okay, Anish, let me take this question with reference to my own company. We we have more than 20-25% senior executives who are women in our company, and that is true for most modern forward-looking Indian companies. Okay, if you look at the banking sector, the top banks, the chief executive officers are all women. If you look at the new age technology companies, if you look at let's say food processing, you look at banking, you look at insurance, a lot of services sector, you will find a lot of women as managers, executives, workmen at all strata. Traditionally, in
Yes, I think we
Yeah, I think
lost
that's
Anurag. Right. So I mean, I just want to add. I think what Anurag was mentioning. Yes, traditionally in India, the Indian businesses have been more male dominated, and the higher positions were given to men.
thing.
Right. Anurag, we lost you for a couple of minutes, so you're back now.
Okay, so I was just saying that many of the impressions that we get about India is through serials which probably not doesn't depict India in the proper light. Many of us believe India is country of snake charmers and rope breaks and so on. But if you look at today, the modern India, there is a very professional set of people, respect for women. Women are into women empowerment is a big theme for the government. There are a lot of incentives for women entrepreneurs and managers. They get some tax breaks as said. So when you come to India as women, you will in the business communities, in the social sector, you will find a big welcome. Of course, we are still a little traditional country, so you'll have to take a little care. But I think it'll be a wonderful experience. A lot of my friends Latin American friends, women who have recently come to India, they have come back with very positive and good experiences. So I can assure you, it's not going to be very different from Latin America or other parts of the world. Anish, you would like to add something?
Yes, I think great question, first of all. And as I was saying, and Anurag also mentioned earlier regarding traditionally, in the past. However, if you look at currently, nowadays, you have a lot of women entrepreneurs who have, Indian CEOs. Two of the biggest banks in India have women CEOs. Not only this, I mean, PepsiCo, Indra Nui is an Indian woman who's a global CEO. So there are a lot of these examples which you can see across the walks of life, in corporate, in media, in government, where women have taken the lead and they're doing extremely well, right? Of course, having said that, still a lot needs to be done in India overall, in the corporate, in different walks of life, for empowering more and more women. And I think the current society and the younger generation are doing much more. And I believe the transformation is happening. It's a little slow. You have these examples, the larger examples. However, you can see the transformation in the society. And in the future, you would see more Indian women taking a global lead, right? Not only in India, but globally, you would find them taking positions at United Nations, the different corporates, the global corporates, as well as in the government. So there is a positive move in that direction.
Okay, great. That's great news for our women entrepreneurs as well. Thank you so much, really, for taking all these questions. I know that we already have run out of time, so please, thank you so much, Mr. Anish and Mr. Anurag, for your time, for your efforts to participate in the webinar and share with us your ideas, expertise, lessons learned, and so on. It was a very interesting and a very clear webinar as well, so we really appreciate you taking the time, to really come up with this presentation. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to remind you that this webinar has been recorded, so you are going to be able to access the video of this recording on the Connect Americas Academy. Is going to be uploaded on the Connect Americas Academy in 5 or 7 business days. So we really encourage you to review this material again in case you want to review any detail that you have missed. Thank you so much to Mr. Anish and Anurag. I don't know if you want to say like
yes. Yes, I just wanted to thank Connect Americas for providing this platform. Thank you, Alejandra, and thank you, audience, for participating in this webinar. Look forward to future events and collaborating with all of you. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, thank you, Anish, and thank you, Anurag. Well, until next time. So please, as I already told you, check out the video recording, and you can leave us some questions or comments on that video as well. And we really look forward to reviewing those questions or last comments about this webinar. Thank you so much, and until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.